Hello everyone, this is Friday the 28th of October. It's time for another thought for the day. And once again, I appreciate very much the fact that you're joining with me. Now, this coming weekend, this coming Sunday, we're having our harvest service in Larbert. It's a little bit later than usual this year for a variety of reasons, but nevertheless, we're going to celebrate, we're going to remember harvest and harvest time this coming Sunday. That's Sunday the 30th of October. And if you are in the vicinity of Larbert, you're very welcome to come along and to join with us in that service of Thanksgiving for harvest. Now, of course, we'll be remembering harvest in the practical way, but also I'll be talking about another type of harvest that the Lord Jesus Christ says is about. And I think you all know what harvest I'm referring to, the harvest of souls. So I don't want to go off at a tangent and tell you everything that I'm going to talk about on Sunday, otherwise you wouldn't come. But that's our topic, harvest, the harvest around us, and of course the harvest that the Lord Jesus Christ speaks of as well. It's found in Luke chapter 10, if you want to have a wee preview. But I'm sitting here, I'm doing my preparation for that particular service, and I'm reminded of something else. We know what the Lord's talking about, harvesting, gathering in souls into his kingdom. And it reminded me of a rather interesting little story that's found in the Old Testament. We've got to go way back to the book of 2 Kings. And there's a wonderful story there about 4 lepers. And again, feel free to have a wee read at that chapter for yourself. I'll just give you the gist of the story. But basically, the Syrians are besieging the city of Samaria. And as they did in those days, they just tried to starve people out, starve people into surrendering. So this siege had been going on for quite some time. And the people in the city were finding it difficult. They were running short of food. And they were faced with starvation and surrender, of course. So anyway, just outside the city gates, there were these 4 lepers. Now, we know that lepers wouldn't have been allowed into the city, even under these circumstances. But there's these 4 lepers stuck between a rock and a hard place. The city is locked anyway. They couldn't go in, even if they wanted to. And, of course, between the city and the Syrians, that's where they were trapped. If they went into the city, well, if they could get in, they would only starve, they would only die. If they stay where they are at the gates of the city, well, again, they're going to die anyway. So they've absolutely nothing to lose. And what they do is they say, look, we'll go over and we'll surrender to the Syrians. And as I said, the worst thing can happen is that they're going to kill us, but we're going to die anyway. So we've absolutely nothing to lose, and they decide to walk over towards the Syrian camp. Now, wonderfully, when they get there, the Syrians had gone. The army had fled. The Lord had instigated some sort of panic or confusion, and the place was deserted. And these 4 lepers, they had a great time. We read that they went into the tents, they helped themselves to whatever they wanted. They had food, they had drink, and they were basically having this wonderful party. They couldn't have believed that things were working out like this. They were facing death, and here they are, surrounded with all this comfort, all this luxury, all these riches, etc., etc. Anyway, they enjoy themselves for a time, and then they say to themselves, we'd better go back and tell the folk in the city that the Syrians have gone. It's safe to come out. We've been saved. It's great. So that's what they do. They go back to the city, and of course, the leaders in the city have a wee bit of difficulty just accepting what they have to say. But they weren't telling lies. The people come out of the city, and they found that their enemies had gone, and they had been rescued, they'd been saved, and they were able to get supplies and obviously all the stuff that the Syrians had abandoned and left behind. Now, what's all this got to do with harvest or with the harvesting of souls? Well, friends, it's the principle that these 4 lepers used. They could have kept silent. They could have just said nothing about the Syrians disappearing and just enjoyed all that wealth and all the things they had found. They could have enjoyed that for as long as they would have liked, and they didn't have to go back and tell the city. But of course they did, and because they went and told the city the good news that the enemy had fled, the city basically was saved. Was saved from starvation, was saved from defeat, saved from destruction as well. So if those 4 lepers had have kept quiet, the city, people in it, would not have been saved. Friends, the principle, I think, is there for all of us as Christians, the principle to apply to our own lives. We can't afford to be silent. We have found all this spiritual, heavenly, wonderful treasure, and it's wrong of us just to enjoy it ourselves. What we have to do is go back into the world and tell people about this treasure, this good news of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is what we have. We want to alert others, and we want to tell them the good news, and we want to share in the provision that the Lord has. So spiritually speaking, it's exactly the same principle as the lepers. They go back, tell the good news to the city is saved. We as Christians have to do the same. We've got to go back to the world, we've got to tell the world the situation, and it would be wonderful if the world listened to what we said, and of course people were saved as well. So we can't afford to be silent Christians. In fact, I don't believe there is such a thing as a silent Christian. We have the news, we've got to spread that good news, and we've got to see people saved. It's not going to happen if we keep the news to ourselves or if we keep quiet. Remember the principle, remember the story of the 4 lepers, and have a wee read for it yourself if you've got a few minutes. It's just a chapter in 2 Kings, 2 Kings chapter 7. A wee bit before that will give you the context, but the story of the 4 lepers is in 2 Kings 7. Have a read and enjoy it, and don't be silent, don't be quiet. Tell other people about the Lord. Okay, thank you for listening. If you are around, I'd love to see you on Sunday morning, and we'll thank the Lord for both types of harvest. The harvest, practical harvest that fills our supermarkets with food, and of course the spiritual harvest, which we should all be working towards as well. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Keep safe, see you Sunday, and bye for now.